Good evening. Welcome to Reflections on East Granby. My name is Mike Malloy, and I'll be your host this evening. Today's date is May 23rd, 2010. It's a Sunday evening, and our guest tonight is Leon Hastings Viets, Jr., a native of East Granby and a longtime resident of East Granby. Leon is 76 years old. He was born in 1934, and he's going to share his memories with us tonight.
One addition there. Everybody in the world knows me by Mike. Where I got that, I don't know, but there was...
It threw me off a little bit because I wasn't sure what to call you.
My uncle's name was Mike. My dad's name was Mike. Mike Leon.
Right.
And then I came along, so I was the third Leon.
Right.
And the only other thing I was Junior, and I hated that. Everybody...
Hastings wasn't a consideration?
No. My brother Bill kind of hung Mike on me. I've been Mike ever since I can remember.
I think Mike's a good name.
Well, yeah, I thought it was.
Anyway, so what would you prefer I call you tonight?
Mike.
Mike. Okay, Mike.
I don't even answer to Leon very often.
Okay, that's your prerogative tonight. It's all about you. Okay, why don't you walk us back a little bit? Your parents were, what were your parents' names?
My mother's name was Mildred. My father's name was Leon.
Yep. Senior.
Yeah, I was born in Hartford, but I was born on the farm there at East Granby Farms.
Right.
In the big White Hart farmhouse. It's not there anymore.
Right.
And grew up there. I went to first grade down to the South School, which is the
thrift shop.
A thrift shop now.
So that was the only elementary school in town?
The Central School, which is a nursery, I guess, now.
So why did you cross? That's further.
Well, we were crowded. I went to first grade there.
Right.
I went to second grade in the center. And then I went back to third grade at the South School.
So it was just
we had the fall school then. We had the North School was closed down, but
the fall school.
Fall school was over on 189, right where Holcomb Street comes down on the left. That was Falls School.
Okay.
Falls School District. That burned down in, I'm going to say 44, 45, something like that.
So there were three? Was that the whole of it?
Originally, of course, there was a school in Holcomb Street.
Right.
Actually, there was a school, there's a house now on Route 20 where the old road goes up, that white building there was a school. Not in my time, that was
prior.
Beforehand.
Yeah.
My brothers all went to North School, which is made over into a house now. That's only, quarter of a mile above the farm.
So they bounced them around over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so at any given time, they had, 3 elementary schools, right?
Yeah. But in fact, I started 8th grade in the center school after the bouncing between South School and Center School. And of course, they had 2 rooms. They had, I think, 4 grades in each room. Anyway, I started 8th grade in the Center School, and they were building the Allgrove School.
Okay.
But it wasn't finished. It was supposed to be finished. So then we had to get out of the Center School, and I went. The 8th grade went for a while in the fireman's room at the old town hall.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's on school
and then we finally got into we were the first graduating class, 8th grade, out of Allgrove School.
Wow.
Louis Pillsbury was the principal, and he gave his speech at graduation, and he said, he was new to the town too, and he said, I feel I've got through this year. I can get through most anything.
You broke them in, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so in that era, so that was the mid-'40s. Where did you go to middle school? Well, middle school would have been 8th grade. Where did you go to high school?
From there to high school.
Yep.
To Simsbury High.
So, was there a choice at that time? You went to Simsbury, or did you go to?
No, you went to Simsbury. That was it.
The choice.
Yeah.
Because there was no high school in Granby at that point either.
No. In fact, I don't know, after that they were going to Suffield for a while.
Yeah, I've heard the different eras, the different places that people went.
No,
so.
we went to Simsbury in, gee, I don't know how many classes after me went to Simsbury, but that's where we went, you know.
Yeah, so let's jump back a little bit. Did your parents ever tell you anything about the history of the town during there? Because that's going way back, really. That's back into the
Yeah, I wish I'd picked my dad's brain more.
Right.
You know, my brother, of course, my two brothers were older than me by quite a bit because they were. But and my brother Bill, you know, he used to tell. My grandmother was, oh God, she died in 1951. She's the one that's got the 5-year diary. She's got 3 of them. She must have had more at one time. All I've got is the 3 of them. They started in 1932.
Wow.
And she would keep track of the cattle business, where my father went, and, you know, everything that went on the farm. And then,
Right. So she was the bookkeeper in the family.
Well, no, she really wasn't. My mother was the bookkeeper.
Oh, okay, your grandmother, right, okay.
My grandmother, you know, her and my grandfather bought the farm in 1888.
1888.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, but
you know who they bought it from?
I should too.
I'm trying to leapfrog back here.
One of the Bateses, but I'm not. I should know that.
Bates?
Yeah, there was quite a few Bateses. But no, she would keep track of everything that was going on the farm, and she'd put it in that little space for that particular day, for that particular year, you know.
Had a register keeping track of it.
I'll have to show you those sometime, because they're really interesting. And if she didn't have enough room, she'd write down the margin.
So your family goes back to the Viets, because Chick was a guest here on the program also. Which side? I guess there's 2 kind of distinct branches.
Well, Chick says he claims he's the only true Viets, because his mother,
of course,
and father were both Vietses, but from
different. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
But Adolph was a farmer. Of course, my dad and brothers were in the cattle business, and later on, when World War II broke out, my dad got right into the horse business because, you know, tobacco farms and logging guys and all this needed horses, or they couldn't get gas and all, you know. And he had quite a horse business.
Did he?
And
I always say horse traders were the car dealers of their day because it was the transportation, you know. So.
But then you had like you've got car dealers, the good ones and the bad ones.
Good ones and bad ones.
I know my dad, my grandfather, either one. You operated on a handshake. You didn't need any more than that. But some of them,
it's
was
like
a different story.
Really. Yeah.
But my grandfather really, he didn't really start the cattle business, but my dad, when he came along, was in his 20s or 30s. They began to buy cattle up around Southwick or Blandford.
Right.
And my dad said, yeah, we'd take the horse and buggy and we'd go to Blandford, buy 2 or 3, 4 cows, come down, and they'd stop where my grandmother was brought up in Southwick overnight, and then, you know, walk them the rest of the way in.
Yeah.
And I said, well, it's only 30 miles to Blandford. Yeah, but he said, I was on the ground and those cows were in the bushes.
Yeah, it's a different era.
He says, I probably walked 50 miles before I got home.
Right, back and forth.
That's the way they started the cattle business.
So it was a small cattle run from Blandford to East Granby. Now, Blandford, what did they have, a big cattle
Well, it's just now there was people they knew up there.
Okay.
I don't really know all the ins and outs of that. But, and then in the 30s, my brother got old enough and they bought their own truck, and I don't know how many miles he made they bought cattle in Vermont, you know, and New York State. That's all he did was truck cattle.
I guess if you don't have to walk them home, you can go a little further.
But
So what are your earliest memories of? So let me get back to it. So you're the Viets side that you're on. Does that go back to the Viets Tavern, or does that go back to just
John Viets? Captain John was ran Newgate, I guess.
Yep, correct.
See, there again, I've gone through the genealogy, and I should know more than I do about it.
Yeah.
But
Well, your family goes way back.
it was the Viets that came over. Came over on the ship. He had 2 sons, and there the family split and came back. That's where Chick and I came back together. You know, kind of.
No kidding. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was down, I think he said New Amsterdam or New York? Or
yes,
something.
I think so.
Or wherever he referred to. Anyway, so what are your earliest memories of growing up in East Granby? Or what's your earliest memory from the farm?
Much simpler life than it is now.
I bet,
but,
yeah.
No, I don't know. There was always something going on there. If it was just they always kept a milking herd. You know, I mean, it might change, but
Right.
they probably milked 20, 30 cows every day there, and.
Right.
And then, like I say, when World War II came along, my dad had started in the late 30s selling a horse here or 2 there. And
Okay.
then World War II came along, and the gas crunch and the tire crunch, geez, he began to, well, he started out in New York State buying horses, and then he branched out to Ohio, and then in the 45, 50, or 45, 46, he was making 3 or 4 trips to Illinois and Ohio.
Really?
Shipping carloads of horses. He sold a lot of horses.
Most people have no, and we've had other guests that were in agriculture during that era, have no we've kind of lost sight of the fact that wasn't that long ago.
Oh, I know.
And we were still doing the majority of our agriculture with horses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, of course, my brother, Bill, he wanted to get into the tractor bit.
Right.
And he did. But boy, my dad held out right up until the 50s, 60s. He didn't cultivate the corn with a tractor, and he didn't rake the hay with a tractor.
Stubborn.
He always had a team of horses, and he'd do that until he couldn't do it anymore himself, and it was pretty. And then they got balers and all that.
Yeah. There's a point at which technology overwhelms you.
Yeah.
So you, any other memories from early days in East Granby? What do you remember the town being like? What was?
Oh, pretty quaint. You know, you'd go down. We always call it down to the center. It was just a mile down to the center. Of course, the post office was in Wilcox's store there, and they had a couple of spring steel lawn chairs there, and that was where half of the problems of the day were. Lute Seymour would be in there, or Dudley Seymour, or my dad, John Adams, and the same thing down to NW Motors. That was another hangout,
Okay, so now just so everybody, because these things are going.
Well,
now.
you just kind of hit each place each day.
Wilcox's store was right on 187.
That's right where, Hall's rented now, I guess.
Oh, okay. We're
across from J&G's.
across. Okay, where there was a restaurant there for a while.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a market.
Well, back in the corner was the post office.
So there's a market and a post office.
In fact, Lolita Viets was postmistress. I think Chick's mother was postmistress too. I get these things.
We'll have
wrong.
to play Chick's tape back together.
Yeah,
but it's okay.
Probably.
You fill in what you can. So,
But you'd go down and get the mail, and then a lot of time my grandfather used to. Of course, he was what you'd call retired. And he and John Adams were great pals. The Adams from A&W Garage.
okay.
And then John Adams was in the real estate business too.
Now that was kind of kitty corner from where you're talking about. That's still there, right? That's where the body shop is now. Is that?
No, that was
Okay.
Prevost Garage.
Okay, that was Prevost. Where was Adams?
Well, the Adams is where the driveway goes into the town garage now.
So it was even further south than.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. So there was
Yeah.
more development further south of the center
I've got
there.
pictures of that, but in fact, when they started the fire department in '29, they put on a little lean-to there, and that's where the fire truck was kept.
So it was an addition to Adams Garage.
Yeah, '29 Chevy.
So okay. So then, as you're coming north from there, what was sprinkled through there?
Well, mostly farms, of course, all houses now.
That whole corner where the plaza is now was a farm, correct? The majority of it.
Where you mean Center Shops.
Center Shops, correct.
Yeah, oh
yep.
yeah, that was way back. That was boy, this memory's great. Yeah, that was a farm. Jim Miller. When I grew up, Jim Miller lived there. He didn't do any farming. Effie Miller was the town clerk.
Okay.
And she had an office right in that big old orange house that was there.
Right in the
That's
corner.
gone, long gone. Elmore Clark, back in the 1850s, owned that farm.
Okay.
Tom Howard did a series of articles in, well, the defunct Newgate News. It was out for a while there.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
But,
Yeah, he's got Clark's Journal, the Historical
yeah,
Society
right.
has that.
They put it in the Granby News.
It's funny to
sometimes.
read some of the
Oh yeah, yeah. But that's, and then of course there was no airport. My dad has told me my grandmother used to hook up a team of horses. Of course, she had chickens there. She had her own little business going, and chickens, and she'd take milk and load up and down to the center and right over Route 20. Used to go straight where Bradley Field is now.
Okay.
And go over to Windsor Locks and do her trading. Trade the milk.
Where would they trade? In the center of Windsor Locks, the markets
Well,
there?
yeah, there was a couple of markets there. I don't really remember them, but
That was I've seen some pictures of downtown, which is kind of a shame because it would be beautiful
I know.
today. But downtown Windsor Locks is really a beautiful place.
oh, I know.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, when I came along, of course, she was out of the horse and buggy business, but I'm talking about back in the early 1900s.
Right.
She'd go all the way across the plains there and do her trading, come back, and I never knew what she was talking about. She said, "Oh, Charlie's going to take me trading today." This is when you had cars and everything.
Okay.
And I said, "Trading," but that was it. She'd go over and trade the milk and the eggs and for so much of the groceries and bring back the other things that she needed.
Okay.
Plus, my grandfather always had a big garden. They raised corn, tomatoes, and
But that farm, the farm where East Granby. Well, you know, let's just kind of walk through your life real quick here. You've got before we just focus it. You have 4 children.
yeah,
You're married to Lois Viets. You've been married for 50 years.
yeah.
You live now across the street from the
Well,
homestead.
up the street from the East Granby Farms, just as you go down the hill there,
Okay, but
where the railroad used to cross.
on the left side,
On the right, going north.
on the right. Okay, so you currently live on North
My
Main
brother
Street.
built a house, well, the only house between the farm and the big white house, which he no longer owns, and then his son owned the house below me. Of course, they've stuck a couple of more houses in there now, but
Now, how far? Okay, so you went to school. I'm jumping around a little bit tonight, but you went to school in East Granby. You went to Simsbury High School.
yeah.
You graduated from Simsbury High School. No,
That's another story.
That's okay. And what did you do from there? Where
I went into. I just love to drive truck or anything. You know.
Okay.
I really didn't care. I was no farmer.
Okay.
I still couldn't raise an ear of corn.
Okay.
But geez, I got out of there a little early, I guess, through a fault of my own. But Granger, F.P. Granger and Sons,
Okay.
whereas East Granby Automotive or something's in there now. The big.
Oh, those were buses, right?
Well, yeah, the buses later on.
Okay.
They had a whole fleet of. They hauled fertilizer, tobacco. They had 2 or 3 dump trucks, and
So they're a trucking company.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they offered me a job. It was in the spring of the year, and gee, they wanted somebody on haul fertilizer.
How old were you then?
16.
16.
No,
So-
I should say 17.
Did you leave school at that point?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, you know, the problem was when I got my license. That was my downfall because I shouldn't say it, but I really wasn't. I didn't like Simsbury High. I mean,
Okay.
I always thought they kind of. Oh, these guys are from East Granby, you know.
Yeah, Hicks.
Yeah, but that is no excuse.
No, that the same thing goes on.
As long as I was riding the bus, I was doing fine. I got my license.
Yeah.
Norm Granger and I and a couple of other guys. I had a car, and we'd get there and then we'd sit out there and the bell would ring. Well, I've got a test, so one of them would go and the other one. But, well, let's go to Hartford. So I was the driver, so
Okay.
I went to school about 2 days a week. And
Hey, you were independent. I mean,
Elliot Dodge finally said, Leanne, you better come in here because you've been bringing me a lot of notes here, but I don't think you're sick that much.
Okay.
So he says, you're out for 2 weeks. I just never went back. I should have.
It was a little different era then.
I went to work for Granger's, delivering fertilizer, and then another fellow in town had dump trucks, and I got on one of those. I ended up at Roncarry, worked there for several years, driving truck. I was driving trailer there, and they wanted somebody on the payloader. So I said, oh, I'll take a shot at it. So I changed over, and that was in 63, 2.
Just working right in the quarry.
Yeah, well, I run a loader in the quarry, and then that quarry, it was so boring in there,
Back and forth.
Now I would love it because I was only a mile from home, but I branched out. There was an outfit in Hartford looking, and I ran heavy equipment for 33 years, different jobs. I ended up working for Savin Brothers, which is now Tilcon, but anyway, I got on the operating engineers, and I spent.
Union, you mean?
Yeah. Operating engineers union.
Yep.
Got my pension, and I retired in '98.
Yeah, that's career stability that a lot of people would give a lot for today. So even
then I work for a company now. If they have any work, they've got a new truck and they wanted somebody just to drive it when they need it.
So you're still driving?
Well, yeah, the work's been pretty scarce the last
good
for
for
a
you,
year,
yeah.
But I drive a triaxle Mack when they need it. And if I need to, he needs somebody on the bulldozer, on the shovel, I do that. But
right.
when he got the truck, he said, you're retiring. He says, I want somebody to drive this new truck. And I said, gee, I really don't want to work 40 hours a week. He said, that's what I want. He says, we don't have 40 hours a week.
Okay.
If I put a young guy on there, he's going to want to. He says, that's
he's going to do what you did
exactly
when you were 18. He's going to go to
yeah. So I got that truck, and I've had it 11 years now. Well, I don't have it, but I mean,
you're running it.
I'm about the only one that drives it when there's any work. But
what are you hauling? No.
Oh, he does foundations, on site work.
Right.
I haul trap rock or fill or whatever, and he's got a trailer, move equipment on it.
So you're his professional driver, basically.
Yeah, that's getting a little old, though, that moving equipment. But
yeah.
I'm getting old.
hey, you're still working and you're in pretty good health. That's something to be thankful for. Anyway, you have if you were, your kids went to school in East Granby. You raised your kids in East Granby, obviously. You've been here your whole life. So, so what were your memories of raising? This had to have been in the 60s?
Yeah.
70s?
Well, let's see. My two of my boys, three boys were born in the late 50s. My daughter was born in 62. They all
went to Algrove.
In fact, my two oldest boys, one's 55 or something, and the other one's 53, but they're both in construction too.
Right.
My third son down in Virginia Beach. Well, my second boy, Scott, and Timmy both did 2 hitches in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
And Timmy got married down there, and his wife...
Virginia area?
Yeah, Virginia Beach.
Okay.
But Michael and Scott and Kelly, my daughter, are all here. Kelly went to college. She teaches special ed kids. That's what she teaches in Canton.
Oh, good.
And
so it sounds like a couple of your kids have stayed in the area.
Oh, yeah. Well, 3 of them have been in the area. Timmy's the only one that's down in Virginia Beach. He wants to come up here, and we want him to come up here, but his wife, you don't want the snow and this and that. So.
Yeah.
Well, you can only go push them so far.
Yeah, that's a big change.
My wife would just love them all right around home.
Right. So, how many? You have any grandkids?
Oh yeah, we've got 8 grandchildren and 2 great grandchildren.
Wow. So Yeah, the next reunion will be pretty big, won't it?
Yeah, well, if we have anything to say about it.
Yeah. So okay, you've had a pretty long career in what you've chosen. But what if you think back to the early days in East Granby? What would you say that's changed the most in your
Oh, it's just,
what pops to the top of your head?
I don't know, it's just, it was so much simpler back then.
Okay.
You know, and why, I can remember the milk truck, John Adams' milk truck would come in and collect the milk, and that, and maybe a New England Express truck was the only trucks you'd see go by. And the cars, maybe, you know, a couple of the farmers from around there, maybe somebody from Suffield, but
Okay.
no, I mean, it's bumper traffic.
Now, I'm completely ignorant of that. Was it paved at that point? Was it?
Well, yeah. It wasn't that far along.
Yeah, no, I
know what you
when
mean.
did they actually pave the roads?
I
No, they
don't know. The state roads.
Well, it is a state road, so
Yeah. We had quite a few dirt roads in town. I mean, North Road and over right by Bradley Field, Cripes Road, and a lot of those were all dirt roads.
Right, old farm roads, basically.
Yeah, sure. And and of course, down in the plains there, you know, in Hazelwood, down that way was all, you know, tobacco, shade tobacco.
Okay.
I worked a couple of summers in tobacco, and that certainly wasn't my favorite thing either.
That was big for 20 years
Oh,
or 30
yeah,
years or so.
sure
That was a big.
Yeah, my dad, of course, he knew all the tobacco guys, and I went in working in the field one year, and the next year I worked in the shed, and that wasn't too bad because the Pennsylvania girls were there.
Yeah, hey, if there's women there, it makes up for a while, right?
But tobacco was certainly not my favorite thing. But
Now, if you what the Viets farm, so you were cattle. Yeah. That was the
cattle
and horses.
And horses.
Right? Now, where did that actually go from geographically? Where was the what were the perimeters of that? Because I know it was quite a piece of property.
Yeah, down, well, what's the southern fence now.
In East Granby Farms,
Yeah,
where the ball
fields
Okay,
are.
so it started
that
there.
Went right straight there, right to the top of the mountain. And then, to really begin with, the north border was right just north of the farmhouse. But then my brother Bill got of age, and he bought the adjoining farm.
Okay.
That was from Allie Bates, I believe. So that added on, and he farmed that for a few years himself. But right after the war,
What was his name again? I'm sorry.
Bill.
Bill. Okay.
Right after the war, they put the two farms together, and that's when L.H. Viets and Sons were incorporated. And so that northern boundary is, well, right across from my house. I don't know if you knew the old railroad track used to.
I had no conception of railroad up that far. I know there's a line that
It
goes.
used to cross Route 20 there. There was a station there.
Okay.
Ben Crick in the center of town ran the station there.
Okay.
And that used to go up through by my house, by the back of the farm, up through to West Suffield to Feeding Hills. And
Was it the current? Well, the bike trail doesn't go. No,
that's another story.
that's what I'm asking. That's the rail line. I'm
Back when
familiar
they laid that track out, the guy, well, it was, what was his name? Where Charlie lives down, right on top of the hill. He wouldn't sell his land down there for the railroad to go across.
Okay.
They were buying the land from all the farms up through.
Okay.
He wouldn't sell his land. So that's when they started. They made the detour across, north of the center, but it went over through to East Street and crowded around, and it was going to come back to West Suffield.
Okay.
But just about the time they got it done, he said, well, I'll sell you the land now. So that railroad never, I don't think ever
Okay. So
got going. But
the one that they use for the bike trail now was the western. That's west of the center, though.
oh, that's right over here.
Yeah.
No, that was
That's a different spur completely.
that was a different spur.
See,
altogether.
well, okay, you're gonna have
This
to.
is the one over, and
Oh, now I
as you're
know.
going
Okay,
down the hill,
right.
well, a new hill.
Yeah.
You know, they've taken out where the station was, but well, it's what's the development now? You know, go up to the top of the hill there, but there was
Metacomet?
yeah.
Yeah. So it was right at the corner there.
Well, it was up. You know, there was an overpass.
Yeah, now it's coming back to me because there's a remnants of a railroad line that runs
Yeah,
through
oh
there.
yeah.
Right.
Went
Okay.
down through back around, carries across Holcomb Street. That used to, in my fact.
Was that a functioning rail line when you were a child?
Well, yeah, I can remember them taking the tracks up
Okay.
because the train. This was 38 or 9. I don't know. I can remember that there was an engine and there was a couple of flat cars, and they had a crane on there, and they were picking up the rails and they were putting them on the flat cars, and I said to my mother, "How's the train going to get back?" They're taking it. But my dad used to walk down to the center and catch the train in the center because he went to Simsbury High School.
Yep.
And
So they used to take the train to high school.
well, this is back in 19.
That's another thing that you kind of lose track of is how rail really spider web through the whole area. I mean, there
But
was
he
little
used to
rail
tell
lines.
about it. He says, I'd walk down and I'd get the train, but then when it was coming north at night, when I'd get to ride home, he said it was puffing up through there kind of slow, and he said, I'd just hang on the side, get up in back of the fire, and just drop off, and he was home.
No, that was a pass that actually picked up passengers.
Yeah, passengers, I guess. This would have been for him 1905, maybe.
Or the early 1900s. Yeah.
Maybe,
Wow.
because he was born in 1890, so I'd say he was 15 to 20 years old when
Yeah.
he was. But
So you had so that rail line would come up and then go all the way to the center of West Suffield or Suffield?
well, West Suffield, and then it would go to Feeding Hills.
You just keep going north.
And finally I guess there was a spur, maybe you went to, no, this other railroad here, Granby line, went to Northampton. They went to Springfield, I guess, and I don't know where they went from
Be
there.
interesting to see a map of those train lines all over the place.
Oh yeah, there was.
It's more like a trolley in some ways.
And those were
connected. So
those were steam trains. I can remember those just barely.
Wow.
Going behind it. You know, there was no diesels.
no.
That thing would come
shoveling
puffing
coal.
up through. But I was only 3 or 4 years old when they took it up. But
Okay. So when you were so the biggest change for you is just the fact that it's a much more
well, yeah.
busy.
And then you just used to go down to the center. Well, in the first place, I used to ride my bike to school.
Okay.
You know, I
All the way down to the South School.
No, not to the South School. I used to go on the bus there. But
Okay.
when I was going to Center School and then Allgrove School, I rode my bike. But I wouldn't send a kid down the road, especially. I mean, it's bumper to bumper traffic now. But ride the bike down, and I had a couple of buddies on the way, and we'd always hook up. But it was so simple in the center of town. Like you say, there was Prevost Garage, and Wilcox's store, and Shirley Coles' soda shop was where the electrical contractors are there now.
Okay, right on the corner.
In front of Dunkin'
right?
Donuts there.
Almost on the
That
corner.
was
They are
a-
in the corner, yeah, basically.
Yeah. And of course, there was no Route 20 didn't go through there then. It jogged around, went through the center.
Right through School Street,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Right down School Street, I
Yeah.
should say.
And but yeah, it was just you could ride your bike around the center. You knew everybody. Now nobody knows anybody. I know. Well, I suppose they do. But
Yeah,
I don't know anybody anymore.
Yeah, well, you know what really makes a difference now is if you have kids in school. If you
Yeah,
have
oh,
kids in
yeah.
the school system, you really get to know a lot of people very quickly. If you don't, then there's not a lot of that social interaction that was forced upon people when they had to go in the post office and go to the store in the center and stuff. Everybody goes to Granby to shop, and it's in and out. Yeah, it's just a kind of hectic modern life.
Oh
really.
yeah.
So, is there anything from that era that's changed other than the lifestyle? I mean, it sounds pretty predictable
Well,
and nice.
It's everybody's going out of town to where 2/3 of the people work somewhere in town or around town.
Okay.
A lot of them worked on
Farms.
tobacco farms and whatever.
Right.
And then, Hamilton Standard moved to Bradley Bradley Field. In fact, I worked on that building when they built it. hauling material around there. But, that, and then people, and they were going to, of course, during the war, they started going to Pratt and Whitney to work, and,
Yeah. World War II seems to be the break from that real agrarian background to much more, the 50s are completely
well, you got after the war, and you got into the 50s, and, everything seemed to begin to change anyway. But
Yeah, anything from that time that you wish hadn't changed? I mean, it's
well,
anything about the town that's changed that you wish they hadn't?
no, I don't know. What are you going to say? It was going to change, and I'd like to see it back the way it was, but it just would never would happen.
No.
I'd like to buy a new '36 Chevy too, but you're not going to happen.
No. I'm just saying, is there any flavor to the town or anything like anything? Okay, let me phrase it differently. Is there anything that you think they should do differently now? Is there anything you'd like to see change?
Oh, I don't know. My wife would probably give you a lot of things, but I don't know.
We'll have her on next week if we can.
You better get your earmuffs.
Yeah.
She's got ideas on most everything. No, I should. Boy, am I going to get it when she sees this?
No, I'm sure she'll.
No, I don't know. Like I say, sure, I'd like to go back to the old days, but
anything in town that's missing that you'd like to see? I mean, a lot of people have mentioned things like a grocery store.
We had a grocery store, and I guess they couldn't support it.
Okay. Yeah.
But other than back to the old. In fact, where the electrical contractors, there was a grocery store there. We had two grocery stores in town way back,
competition,
30s and 40s, but there was a lot of different operators in that one. But Wilcox's store stayed right, till they closed up.
So it was Wilcox and Coles?
No. Shirley Coles just had lean-to on there, but she had a little soda shop.
Okay.
You could get a hamburger, and that was she had a pinball machine in there.
People would love that today.
Oh, yeah, we'd go in there and get a soda on the way home. And
screen door would slam on the way out.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So you had, a lot of it's, it's a different era. You can't recreate. You could try to put things in place and work in a direction, but you can't bring back the
So I don't know. I suppose there's a lot of changes could be made, but lower the taxes. That would be nice.
That's
boy.
Taxes are. Nobody really likes taxes.
Oh.
So if you were to make, if you had a magic wand, okay, we'll get fantastic here, okay. If there was one thing you could wish for the town, what would it be? Is there anything that you look at and you say, if I could put Sally Cole's ice cream shop back there,
but it wouldn't work for her,
No.
I don't know. Not really.
No.
There's probably a lot of things that should be done, but
yeah,
as long as I'm in my house and I can get in and out and go. And right. So you got to go to Enfield to shop or.
Now in the old days, you used to in the older. Previous era, you used to go. You would primarily go to Windsor Locks if you had to shop.
Pretty much, yeah.
Simsbury didn't have much of a draw.
Well, not as much as probably it does now.
Yeah.
But Windsor Locks was, of course, that was a mill town, and the railroad went through there.
It's a hub.
In fact, my dad, back in the 20s, used to get a carload of cows from Maine or somewhere. They'd unload them in Windsor Locks, driving right up Spring Street and across the plains to. On the ground.
You keep referring it to the plains.
That's where Bradley Field is.
That's what you call. It's funny because now it's PLANES is plains there.
Yeah, no.
So when you said your mother,
it was sandy soil.
Was there any farms there or anything? It was just
tobacco farms kind of on the north and Windsor Locks side. Our side, it got pretty woody over, towards Suffield, but right across, where Route 20 went there was a few. They used to raise melons and stuff there.
Okay.
But the land wasn't, that good.
So it was pretty barren plains, basically.
My dad, when they started building Bradley Field, he said, "My God, I could have bought 100 acres for $50 back in years ago. I should have done it. He said, but it wasn't worth a dime.
Right. So it was very undeveloped.
Yeah,
Really?
oh yeah.
Interesting.
There was tobacco tenement houses through there,
Okay, yeah.
But they were building Bradley Field, and
Right.
we had to go down to Rainbow and around that way to Windsor Locks.
Okay.
But Route 20 was still, it wouldn't stop you. Oh, I wanted to see all the trucks and bulldozers. I said, my mother, I said, well, you can drive across here. Well, we got out there, and there was piles of dirt. And they're going, get out of here. You're not supposed to be in here. And she said, we're not going to go this way again.
So you were just, you were a kid and you wanted to see them building the airport, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe that's why you ended up driving heavy equipment. You got.
Well, yeah, I always loved it. I've got pictures of me sitting in my brother's lap on a farm-haul tractor.
Right.
They rented some land in the center of town there, and where the package store and all that stuff. We used to work that land. I'd go down with my brother with my toys and get out, and he'd plow that whole thing, and I'd play with the tractors and stuff, and then ride back with him. I got to steer the thing coming home.
Good place to grow up. Kind of fun.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you, it was. I thought pretty good.
Yeah. So I guess the majority of that property then was going west, right up to the mountain. That was a huge.
Ours went right up. In fact, the three red lights up there. My dad, they came and wanted to put those lights up there, and he leased the thing to them for 99 years.
Okay.
And I suppose it changed hands when they bought the property there. I suppose the town has it now. I don't know, but I remember at the time.
The state leased that property to put those lights up? Yeah. Interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
So you went way up, right to the peak.
That's
at the peak. Yeah. Interesting.
A lot of the places, they didn't own all the way to the peak, but.
Right.
Yeah, in fact, we used to draw wood when we burned wood in the farmhouse. We always go up there in the fall and winter and cut wood,
Okay.
And
it was like your back.
we had a big wood shed back of the, at the farmhouse there.
So you could just go up the hill and cut whatever you needed.
Yeah, well, you didn't just go up, by God.
Yeah, it's pretty rugged back there.
Yeah, but we were going to cut wood today, and we'd all go up there, and you had something to do from the time you could take the thing, have a big circular saw in the front of a tractor.
Okay.
You listen to that thing all day, ring, ring. But that was my job when I was old enough. I'd take it off and throw it in a cart and bring home, and then when I got home, stack it too. Don't just throw it in the woodshed.
Somebody's got to do it, right?
Oh, yeah.
The guy with the most energy, the young guy. Now, you had any characters from that era that that you want to share with us today?
Oh boy, there was. Yeah, there was quite a few around. Jesus, I can remember Walt Miller. That's where Ray Miller lives. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That was his farm.
Trying to get him to come on the show, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right.
He'd be good.
So Walt.
Walt Miller ran that farm. He had an old fellow, Jess Woodard. He'd come down out of Vermont. He'd come down and he'd work enough to get a little stash, and then he'd go on a bender, and he'd be gone for.
Okay. What did he have in Vermont? What was?
Well, he came from Vermont.
So he'd come down here and work the farm?
Yeah, he worked for Walt. He worked for a few of them, but and he'd work right along. He'd stay on the wagon, but when he got a little change in his pocket, then all of a sudden, I can remember Walt Miller had an old John Deere tractor, and just got thirsty one day and started up there, and the only package store was down in Rainbow. Just took the old John Deere tractor all the way down.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy, Walt was.
He's a character, huh?
And then there was another old guy and used to hang around Prevo's garage, Paul Becker. He used to, he was a painter, but he got into the sauce too, so.
Okay.
He'd come wandering into the garage when John opened up in the morning. Hey, Paul, where'd you stay last night? He said, right out in the Hudson Hotel here.
That was a car. Yeah. Hudson, right.
Yeah, well, John and Howard Prevost ran the only school buses in town. There's ones I went all to school in all the time. They had 2 school buses.
2 school buses.
And then Granger got a school bus after the war, and then.
So when Granger's bus company was more an extension of his trucking company.
Oh yeah, they got rid of a lot of the trucks.
It wasn't just something he picked up one day.
No,
Right.
he had one bus, and then he got a couple more, and then after a while, they ran buses for Granby and East Granby.
Okay.
And in fact, I drove bus for him some when I wasn't working, but I used to know Don Beckwith here real well. Was just down over from the cemetery here.
Oh, in Granby.
No, in Granby.
In Granby.
Nothing to do with East Granby.
Yeah, that's okay. Well,
He had buses, of course, too.
so he did Granby?
Yeah. Way back.
Yeah, that was actually for a long time, that was a going concern for a lot of small independent bus. And a lot of towns, you could buy one bus.
Yeah.
And get on a bus rotation.
Oh, sure.
And they'd give you a route. So it was
in Suffield, they had a good deal up there because you could only have one bus to a family now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, but, everybody had their bus, and
That's fascinating.
Beckwith, he ended up with.
So they had like
4 or 5
15
buses.
or 10 different bus companies or bus.
Well, back then there was only probably half a dozen all over
But they were all independent. You could only have one. That's how they spread it around.
Suffield, you had one
That's
bus to a
interesting.
family, so it didn't get into a conglomerate, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. There was other guys around in East Granby talking characters, but there was back in the 30s, of course. Jesus, there was characters, hobos, I guess you'd call them.
My mother used to live on a farm in Suffield. She talks by the railroad. She said they used to have hobo camps.
Oh, sure. And
when they would come through.
I can remember, well, my mother called them tramps. I don't think they were tramps, but I can remember them. She wouldn't allow them in the house, but she'd set them up on the porch step, and she'd bring them out milk and cookies.
So they just show up? They just
they'd be walking along and come up.
Oh, okay.
Can I have something to eat or some money?
Really?
And
Wow.
She says, well, you can have some money, or you can have some. I don't think she ever gave them too much money, but they'd have their milk and cookies or a sandwich if it was lunchtime, and,
Yeah.
I can remember that. I was just a kid, but.
Yeah. If you lost your job back then, before they had the work, the WPA, and the war came along and scooped up the rest of the people that weren't working, right?
Well, that's why I say, geez, when Pratt and Whitney and the war came along, a lot of people were working on farms. They went to Pratt and Whitney, and
all those guys walking the rail lines were picked up too and given something.
I suppose, yeah.
Or they ended up somewhere.
Yeah, of course, I suppose some of those tramps, I shouldn't call them tramps, hobos would be nicer, but I suppose they got off because the train came right in back of the farmhouse there, or the buildings.
Right.
And up to the late 30s.
Well, they were transient. They were looking for work.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But
there was quite a culture in the 30s, so that was kind of lost.
Yeah.
Not that if you were walking the rail lines, you probably got glad it was lost.
Geez, my dad used to, in the summertime when we were getting in hay and corn during the war, there was nobody to hire, and he'd go down to Sims Street Jail in Hartford, and he'd pick up 3 or 4 guys, and they'd come up and work for the day.
So you could go hire labor there.
Yeah. And he'd bring them out, and we had to bring them back to Hartford that night.
So you pay the state for that, or?
Well, I really don't know. I don't know how they figured out to pay. It wasn't much pay either, but it was better than not having anybody.
Yeah, you had to.
And when hay's ready, you got to get it in.
Got a few days. Yeah.
But we had one guy. He fell off the wagon or something, fell off the load of hay and broke his ankle. So we ended up boarding him for a while. Okay. My mother wasn't too happy over that.
What are you going to do with him?
Yeah, I mean.
Different era, huh, Mike?
Oh, yeah. Jeez, try that today. But that's another thing. I mean, we used to have my grandfather car, and my brothers all had cars, and, and the trucks and everything. Never took the keys out of them. Drive in the garage at night and go out in the morning. Gee, you don't do that today. I mean, I don't anyway. I don't leave keys in the vehicle overnight.
Right.
Oh, same thing when we went shopping. My mother never took the keys out of the car. You know, she's.
Yeah. You could probably get away with it in East Granby still, but not in a lot of.
Well, yeah, I suppose, but.
It's not a smart thing to do anymore.
It's habit now. We went to church this morning, and my wife said, "I don't think we got to lock the car here." I said, "Well, no." I was all ready to click it. Not for any reason there, but it's just a habit.
Yeah. Now, just what are your kids' names?
Michael is my oldest boy. Scott, Timmy, and Kelly Jean is my daughter.
Okay. And your grandkid? Want to share your grandkids' names just to get them?
Oh yeah, if I can remember them all.
This is a test, Mike.
Kelly's kids. She's got Devin and Shelby and Tanner.
All right.
Michael has got two girls we don't ever see anymore. I don't know. Scott's got, let's see, three girls. And he was remarried, and his wife has got two boys, nice boys. In fact, one of our great-granddaughters, we include, she really isn't our blood granddaughter, but she's Robin's son's. He's in Iraq. My wife went out there for 3 weeks in February, and she had another baby and helped her with her baby and everything. I mean, we consider him our grandson as well as...
Right.
He's on his second tour in Iraq.
Wow.
I wish he'd come home and get out of there. But.
Yeah. It's not a fun place to be. Okay, so let me ask you a question. We've got a few minutes left here, and I always ask this of folks, and I've gotten variety of different responses. But if you could give advice to young people today, what your 70 plus years of experience, what would that be?
Don't do what I did.
Okay.
And quit high school.
Stay in school.
Get an at least a high school education, but get more than that.
Yeah.
You know,
get educated.
Whether you go to business school, I don't care what you do.
Right.
Get an education, because I have kicked myself more often than not.
Sounds like you've had a pretty good life, considering you didn't educate yourself.
I've been real lucky, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Especially this gal I've got. She gives me a lot of grief sometimes, though, but she's an Italian. That's
part of her job, too.
She's an Italian girl. So.
Oh, is she?
Oh, yeah. But I'll tell you, we've all eaten pretty well.
Okay.
I guess you can see
That's
that.
okay. So your primary advice would be get educated, stay in school, make the most of your education.
And stay off the drugs and
no
junk,
drugs.
You know, Jesus.
No drugs and stay in school. Pretty
being
basic.
in construction, I probably have done my share of up in a beer bottle or something.
Right.
But a couple of times the guy said, "Hey, you want a wacky tobacco?" I said, "No, I get enough trouble with this stuff. I don't want to try that." But stay off that junk. Jesus, it doesn't do you any good. Just getting you in trouble.
Yeah.
Otherwise, and get a good job somewhere and be reliable. That's what my grandson he's 20. He's going to be 21. He went to work for a construction outfit down in Bloomfield, and he'd worked around odd jobs, mowing lawns and everything. And when he went down there, I know the guy that he went to work for. And I said, "Devin, I'll tell you one thing. You go to work. If you can't make it in the morning, you call a man up.
Absolutely.
Don't just lay up there in that bed or not call.
Right.
Call him, tell him. You can tell him what you want, but don't lie to him either. I'm not going to make it. I don't feel well or whatever, but call him and let him know."
He can plan for his day that
Right.
way. Yeah.
And, be honest about things. He's done pretty good. The guy likes him pretty well. And that kid can do anything. When he was small, he'd come on, if I was on a job close by, I'd take him around Saturdays. He learned to run backhoe. He can run any kind of equipment.
Yeah. He's got a flair for it. Huh?
Oh, yeah.
By the way, that's not a bad career now. Any of the blue-collar jobs is less, education's important, but get education and don't be afraid of the trades, because that's definitely something. So, well, Mike, it was a pleasure having you on tonight.
Well, I don't know if
Oh, you
enlightened.
oh, it's fascinating. Is every story is a little different, and you never really. I find I don't appreciate it as much till I watch it because you see this. Yeah. But appreciate you coming on and certainly share that with your friends if you know of anybody else who would like to come on.
Do you have any idea when this thing is going to be on? Or?
Well, we'll get a date from Mark after the show, probably within the next couple of weeks. So usually within a week or two, it's on.
When
Friday
I get
nights.
in to sit down, I want to flick through and see what's going on, but I always flick on 16 and.
We'll give you a heads up when it's going to run. But I appreciate you coming on, and it's definitely been a pleasure. Thanks for joining us here tonight. My name is Mike Malloy. This is Mr. Viets. Mike Viets is his preferred what he's known by, and we thank you for joining us tonight. The Reflections on East Granby airs every Friday night at 8 a.m. and it's generally repeated on Saturday morning and at various times through the week. But 8 a.m. is our regular time. 8 p.m. I'm sorry, 8 p.m. Friday night is our regular time. And you can also view it online, www.gctv16.org. You can see our new website, which just went up in the last few weeks. Thanks for joining us here tonight, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.